for joining us and sharing your expertise as a political analyst. Now we move on to our next news. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says 22 people were killed and 85 injured in Russian strikes over the past day, including 5 killed in the northeastern Kharkiv region. The attacks come amid increased pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump, who has given Moscow a 10 to 12-day deadline to accept a ceasefire or face new sanctions on Russian exports. Trump abandoned a longer 50-day deadline, saying there is no reason to wait, given Putin's repeated rejections of a truce. The Kremlin has not responded officially, but top Russian figures called the deadline an ultimatum, with former President Medvedev warning it could be a step towards war. President Trump, frustrated by lack of progress after multiple calls with Putin, said he's no longer interested in talking to the Russian leader. Now we're joined by Keith Vaz. He's a former UK minister, joins us live from London. Thank you, Keith, for joining us today. Good to see you. Now, given President Trump's deadline for Russia to accept this ceasefire or face new sanctions, we also talked about this yesterday, but do you think this approach is effective, or is there any counterproductive arrangement that could be made?
Good afternoon. Well, good morning from London. Mr. Trump, President Trump, thinks that putting deadlines is the best way of achieving peace in Ukraine. It is not. All it does is upsets the Russians, and it makes the Ukrainians very nervous, because if the deadline isn't met, then the West looks weak. So I'm not sure why he's decided to put this deadline on. He has. The reaction of the Russians is to go further, to bomb further, to kill more people in their attacks. And the reaction of Volodymyr Zelensky, which is understandable, is to complain about the fact that the Russians have no interest in having a ceasefire. So diplomacy is hard. Anyone who watches NewsX and sees the experts who come on here will know that they are very experienced people. You have to speak relatively slowly. You have to understand the position of the other side, and you have to make progress. Very little progress has been made since Donald Trump has become president. I think he has the capacity to make progress, but the carrot and stick approach used very often by this particular president is just not working. You need to sit down, negotiate, have a proper discussion at prime ministerial, presidential level. So that means, and he'll love this, convening a meeting in a place like Iceland, to give you an example, or he's very fond of Greenland, maybe Greenland. Bring President Putin there, have Zelensky there, with President Trump present as well. That is the only way you're going to get to a solution here. Phone calls are not working, deadlines are not working. Deadlines will change and people will think the United States is very weak. Diplomacy is hard. It's every little dot, every crossing of the T. It's got to be done very carefully.
Yes, and also Russian figures, you've also touched on that they will see this ultimatum as negative. Can you tell us more about what's the point of view from Russian figures? How is this warning seen? Is it seen as a good thing, bad thing?
They care about the warnings because they realize that what can we do more to the Russians than we have done to them in the last few years? Let's face it, sanctions have been operating for a number of years. They've been banned from the World Cup. They can't participate in international organizations. The G8 has become the G7. I mean, what more can you actually do to the Russians? I'm not sure that there is. And therefore, deadlines of this kind are not effective unless they are backed up with a proper end game. And there doesn't seem to be an end game here.
Thank you very much for sharing.